Okay, here I want to do a demo just to show you how we want to do the spatial join in assignment 3. Right, in assignment 3 here we have the Pittsburgh tracks, which are the census tracks, and I already shaded them with the choropleth maps showing the poverty in different census tracks. And now I have that other layer, Pittsburgh Serious Crime Summer 2008, with the yellow dots showing where the crimes occur. So those are the two map layers. Now what I want to do is to be able to relay them, join them, but using spatial relationship between them. And the result of this, I want it to be a polygon map, which is the census tracts. It has the census tracts, but then in each census tract, I want to count the number of crime occurrences within here. For example, this one here is kind of 0, nothing, but this one has about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and some of them has more, right? We want to show eventually that there are more crime in poverty areas. So how do you do this spatial join? You need the two map layers. Because the output is the polygon map, so we want to start with the polygon map and then put the point map cast over it. So we start with the polygon map, which is Pittsburgh track. So we come here, right click, and then we want to apply join and relay and go to join. Right? So we pop up that window for join. Now there are two kinds of joins. Join data from another layer. Yes, that's spatial join. Some of you may have that set up for table. This is for table join. We are not doing table join. So make sure that you go to spatial join. So the things in here, of course, would be different. To do a spatial join, you are starting with the polygon map. Now you want to introduce the other map layer to do the spatial join. So what other map layer? You can go out elsewhere, or you can use the map layers here. There's only one other map layer, so you use this map layer. So the two map layers are related, run on top of the other to do the relationship. And automatically, when the output would be the polygon map, similar to the one you start, but it will be a new map layer. In that map layer, it has all the information about the polygon map, which is the census tracts, but now you have another column, another field, which is the count, which counts how many of the crime occurrences occur within that. Right? You may also want to add information about it. That's where this part is. Do you need to apply an aggregate function to the elements that are inside that polygon? Right now, we don't need it. Right? We don't need to add things. We just need to count. So we don't need to apply this. If you apply, you will have other things in there, but you will still have to count. So whether you do it or not, you have to count. This is it. And you don't need to put in any other thing. Polygon will be given the attribute of the point. So when it's closest enough, it will determine which side is it on the polygon. So that's already there. You can apply that spatial join. The other part now you have to be careful is that the output is a new map layer. You need to put it in the right place. Underneath here, we specify where do you want to put it. Right now, it points to my default GDB. We don't want that. We want to point to our A3 GDB. So you should go for it. Look for where's my A3, home A3 is here, right? A3, that's my GDB, right? Well, I already have the crime aggregated, right? Otherwise, you have to type in that name in there, and you can say save. Once you type in that name, you can say for me already exists. For you, it will be new. Then, right? I overwrite it. That's okay. Right. So now you can see from here, it points to my GDB, and it goes inside to call it crime aggregated by tracks. Then we are ready. So when you say okay, it will work on that, and it takes quite a bit longer because this is a very difficult compare and match, right? It takes some time, but after that, it will produce a new map layer by the name that we have given it here, and that new map layer will be very similar to the Pittsburgh tracks, exactly the same attribute data, but has an additional column, which is count with the underscore, in there, it tells you how many points of that other map layer are inside. Now you see that new map layer goes on top, and by default it uses that green thing, but you can of course change that by symbology. But let's look at the attribute data. Right. So you can see that it has exactly the same number of polygons, 137, and it has all the attributes that you have in the original Pittsburgh tracks. But now if you scroll it to the back here, you see that now it has another column called count. In the count, you have the number of dots, number of crime occurrences occur within that polygon. So you can see the different numbers. Some of that says no. Why? Because when there's no points in there, it would give you a null. So they are not zeros. They are null, right? So you can sort it by ascending order. Then you can see that, yeah, these are zeros, and then it starts with 1 and all the way down, right? So going down to, well, the maximum has 224. That's a crime area. So if there are only 3 there, you can change it to 0, type in a 0 for it so that it would still show up. So it's up to you how to do it. So, well, let me change it to 0. Go, well, I cannot just do that because it does not allow me to change that. Well, let me leave it as null and then close that. So if that's the case, what we can choose to do is change the symbology, right? Go to property and use the quantity. What value do you want? The new value is, scroll down, now we have count there, right? We have different values starting from 1, and you don't just shade that. You do not want to use color, but you want to use proportional or graduated symbols, right? So that it would follow the different sizes and give you, right? And the value you want to use again is count, right? Well, you can control the sizes. The background, you don't want but let me set it up properly first. Okay, you probably want a red dot, and you want the outline to be yellow perhaps, so that it looks good, yellow. Right. So it looks like that. Now, if I say OK, you see that depending on the value of count, it will give me different size dots there. So if I say OK, now I use that. Right. The problem now is that when it's not in the dot, the other is the background. You don't want that. You want it to be able to see through so that you see the rest. So what you want to change it to is the properties. Come back to the symbology. The background should be hollow. Then you'll be able to see through. Say, okay, now you see through it. The dots overrides that. Right? In fact, I don't want the dot to be so prominent because it covers the little dots there. I want to move the dots on top of it. Right? So the dots go over and actually I do not want them to show up until I zoom into it. So I change that area, that layer, to use a maximum scale, so a minimum scale, so that it doesn't show unless you zoom in further. So if I say OK, you can see that those dots disappear, right? Unless you zoom in, right? So if you zoom in, then you'll see those little dots there, right? Okay. So let me go back to my original scale. Right, that's what the spatial join is. I hope this helps. Okay.